You're listening to episode 73 of the General Geekery Podcast. This podcast was originally recorded live on twitch.tv/RyuzakiMK7 on March 17th. If you guys want to watch the original recording of the episode live on Twitch, please click the link in the description below. Without further ado, enjoy.
The General Geekery Podcast presents March Marvel Madness!
Anyway, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen, all you wonderful people listening later on, and those of you us watching live on twitch.tv/RyuzakiMK7, welcome back to the General Geekery Podcast. This is the podcast where we geek out about all that we love to geek out about with no remorse, no regrets, and with all of the enthusiasm in the world.
Indeed.
As always, I am your resident coffee ninja by date. By date? What is wrong with me?
I don't know, man.
I am your resident coffee ninja by day, actor, gamer, streamer by night. Donald Kaczynski back once again, and joining me as always, you know her, you love her. She is the dice slinger extraordinaire, the artiste magnificent, Miss Hannah Kubiak.
Hello.
And, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our final edition of Marvel March Madness 2021. For those of you that have not seen the past episodes, we went through all three of the current phases of MCU that have been released and did a quick summation of all of them as best as we could. Today, we are diving in to the first entry that has been released of Marvel Cinematic Universe's Phase 4. The Disney Plus series, WandaVision. So this was a very fun series to go through, I must admit. Oh man, this one was trippy.
Yeah, I'll say.
Oh god.
Ooh.
I had to stop and Take a breather for a moment and just figure it out. Redating coffee, not surprised. Or
Hey, cat, stop it.
Is Petra doing things again?
Petra? No, Kefka is.
Oh, Kefka.
Kefka is scratching the furniture. Stop that.
Oh, I was about to say Kafka. No,
Kefka.
Kafka. So, for
also, what?
Yes.
He stepped on my tablet that I was doing art on. And now everything is mirrored. And I don't know how he did that. Oh, you are an agent of chaos.
Yeah.
You're an agent of chaos. Come here. Okay.
Anyway,
I don't have much time, so we should get into the conversation.
Yeah, so while Kefka's doing that, so Phase 4 was originally structured different. Originally, Phase 4 was supposed to start with Black Widow, the Black Widow movie. Then we were going to get the according to the original schedule, we were going to get Black Widow as the movie first in early 2020. Then Disney Plus was going to be released the first series, which was going to be Falcon and Winter Soldier. Then it was going to be the Eternals film, and then around this time frame, they would have originally released WandaVision, like around the same time frame as well. Unfortunately, the COVID pandemic pretty much put a stop to all of that as all theaters shut down, and really threw a monkey wrench into Disney's plans. And Disney keeps postponing the release of Black Widow until theaters can be reopened, and apparently they need to make that good dollar because Mickey Mouse is a greedy mouse.
Yes.
So for right now,
that money.
So for continuity issues, like a lot of people have explained that maybe there would have been something that was released like in those three entries that might have made certain things in WandaVision make sense. But that's neither here nor there. We are just going to judge WandaVision by what has been presented to us and nothing else.
Yep.
So, for returning cast, of course, we've got Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda Maximoff returning, and then Paul Bettany returning again as Vision.
Oh, Paul Bettany.
Now, this was kind of a weird thing, because for those that have not seen Infinity War prior to this, Vision died.
Yeah.
So, this was interesting to figure out, like, what was going on, because it's like, you're doing a series with a dead character? Like, what's even going to happen? And then when the original trailers were released, it was this sitcom kind of thing, and it's like, what?
It was very strange. I thought, is it a comedy based off of the characters? Like, I was confused. I mean, I was all for watching it, but I didn't really get what it was going to be.
We all were. Like, a lot of details about this series was really kept under lock and key. Especially on a few key details, like we'll get into like in a later episode. So,
a later episode?
Yeah. So this is a 9-episode series, taking place following Avengers Endgame, and it's set in the fictional town of Westview, New Jersey. And Wanda and Vision had apparently just moved into town and are starting their new lives there with all their new friends and coworkers and their nosy neighbor, Agnes.
Yep.
And the first episode is shot in kind of like an I Love Lucy 1950s, 1960s kind of sitcom.
Yeah. It was, I enjoyed it. It was funny. Not very much. Like you got a little hint of that something was off, like at the very end. But before that, it was just kind of like, well, this is fun.
Yeah, it was.
This is cute.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden, you're like, wait a minute, like.
Yeah, it was played. Like, it was played completely straight, like it belonged to a sitcom of that time period, and I'm just like, wait, whoa, because you had the studio audience laughing, which I think, if I remember correctly, if I did my research right, I think they actually did manage to get a studio audience in for that.
Wow, really? Cool.
Because I think they recorded like those scenes like pre-pandemic, but don't quote me on that.
Okay.
And then the cinematography and the camera work was very much like how those sitcoms were shot back in the day, and I'm like,
yeah,
what is going on? And you even had like the spoof opening kind of track that was like of sitcoms of that era. And I'm like,
yeah. And I love how when they went to different time periods, they had a different opening credit scene. You know, I liked that. I thought that was funny.
I'm gonna get into like what some of them like represented for like different, because it represents other different kinds of sitcoms of like those specific time periods, and I noticed some, which blew my mind. So we go from that first episode, like everything seems to be going well, and then Wanda's talking in an American accent, and of course Scarlet Witch has a foreign accent for the fictional country of Sokovia in the MCU, so she has like more of a European style accent.
Yeah.
Like in continuity, but she's talking like straight American like through this. I'm like, what? And
happening?
And everything is like played straight because of situational comedy in that, until you get to the dinner scene in the first episode, and one of their dinner guests starts like choking after asking so many demanding questions, and they don't know the answers, and then everything grows grim, and it goes back to like the camera style of like how dramatic MCU is shot, and then it goes right back into like 1950s, 1960s situational comedy shots, and I'm like,
yeah,
huh? it's such a. It was a trip,
definitely.
It was like a weird kind of out of body experience, like the cinematography, like the change in the cinematography playing such an important part in like an experience, and it's.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know how to feel about this. I was shocked. Legitimately shocked. But I didn't hate it. I also love the fact that one of the first characters they introduce, the boss's wife, being played by freaking Deborah Jo Rupp, who, for those not aware, is like one of like my favorite actresses from TV sitcoms like That 70s Show, which I'm like,
really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah. See, I didn't know that.
She was Kitty Foreman in That 70s Show, and I heard her talking, and I recognized the voice. I'm like, oh my god, is that Deborah Jo Rupp? Oh my god, that's Deborah Jo Rupp! What?
Oh, that's awesome. I did not even make that connection.
Whatever happened to the other children anyway? That is a story for another day, Maki. But, so we go from that, and then we go to, like, a 1970s kind of, like, sitcom.
Yeah.
So with, like, a little bit of better camera work, it's not always static. You have, like, more outside, like, shooting, where it's not all sets.
Yeah.
And then you notice, like, some more of, like, distortions and things that start happening. Like, everything was shot in black and white, but then you see some things that are in color.
Yeah.
And then,
so weird.
You get random radio messages, like, of trying to contact Wanda, and then you get a random, like, horror movie style beekeeper coming out of the sewers, and then Wanda starts, like, saying no, and everything starts warping around, and then we go into a world of color.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could kind of see where it was going at a certain point. Like, I think I figured out a little bit earlier than you were supposed to, kind of what was going on, like why.
Like, you did get the sense of that, but at the same time, like, there was always enough of it to keep you guessing. Like, it took them like 3 or 4 episodes to, like, truly explain, like, how things were going.
Yeah.
In episode 3, we come to the 1970s Brady Bunch style sitcom, where out of nowhere, Wanda becomes pregnant.
Yep.
And spontaneously gives birth to twins within the time span of, like, a day or two.
Yep. Oh man, it was like that episode of Fringe. Did you ever watch the Fringe?
That does sound familiar, yeah.
Something very similar happened in Fringe.
He wants to sell his honey bars, bruh. So we go. So we go from that, and then the person that helped Wanda deliver the babies, a character by the name of Geraldine, she shared knowledge about the death of Wanda's brother Pietro, who died in Age of Ultron, and mentioned Ultron.
Yeah.
Which seemingly scares Wanda, and the next thing we know, the character of Geraldine is sent outside, is sent away somehow, and she gets flung out of this barrier type thing, and then all of a sudden we're in, like, the regular cinematography of MCU, and she's surrounded by all these vehicles and tactical crew, and it's just like, what is happening?
Yeah. And then, man.
And then come episode 4, we get the full backstory. We get, like, the backstory of, like, the situation that's happened. We see an immediate after effect of people returning from the Thanos snap, and utter chaos is happening. Yeah. And the woman that was flung out by Wanda, that was flung out of the town of Westview, was a character who was only a child in the film Captain Marvel. She had a connection.
That's right. She was the child of her fighter pilot friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was awesome, General Setsuman, I do have to admit. And then we get the backstory of, like, how this entire situation came, how she got in there. Apparently, a contact in Westview had gone missing, unheard of, and the town apparently was not remembered by anybody. And and the person who was the contact, FBI agent Jimmy Woo, returning from Ant-Man and the Wasp. I love Jimmy Woo. He's great.
Is that where he was from? Okay, I knew he was in something before, but I
believe he was the FBI probation officer of Ant-Man. If I'm
okay.
So we get him back, and we see how Monica, who would play the character of Geraldine in the WandaVision show, got dragged in. Yeah. Then all of a sudden, sometime later, we get an entire, like, military operation, like, outside the perimeter, observing this anomaly, when in comes another returning MCU face, Darcy Lewis from the first 2 Thor films.
That's right.
Now, early on in the MCU, like, there were some complaints against, like, this character for seemingly out of place. Darcy is a delight in this series. Oh my god, is she funny?
Yeah.
She's so great.
I enjoyed her for the most part.
she got her degree in astrophysics, and she manages to discover that because of like the radiation in the area, with a old time TV, like they can pick up like radio signals of like the WandaVision broadcast in this vicinity and perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
And we see how it changes, and like how things that had happened in the previous 3 episodes were influenced by some things that happened outside.
Right.
Until it is eventually revealed through Geraldine, aka Monica, that Wanda is the perpetrator behind all of this.
Yep.
And from there on, it becomes like a mystery kind of thing, because there's so much to go about this. Because then we go, the next episode after that is, we think it's just going to be a by the books thing, but then a monkey wrench gets thrown into things. With, because Vision is convinced that Wanda is like doing all of this, which in a sense she is.
Yeah.
And he's trying to convince her.
Not wrong.
Yeah, and he's trying to convince her to stop. When all of a sudden, with a door ring at their door, we get introduced to Wanda's supposedly dead brother Pietro.
Yeah.
Which, in a very meta turn of events, is played by Evan Peters.
Now, who is that?
Okay, so I had a feeling Hannah would not understand. So, okay, so Hannah, do you know the X-Men films?
Wait a minute. Yes. Okay.
So,
yes.
Yeah. So,
yes.
so
he plays. Oh, yes. He plays the kid who can run really fast, and that's why that makes so much sense, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Because in canon, in Marvel and in MCU, that is basic. They are basically brother and sister. We never got to see Wanda in the X-Men films, but we got to see his brother Quicksilver.
Quicksilver, that's right.
And we also got to see Quicksilver in Age of Ultron as well. It was kind of a weird thing between the 2 studios, because Quicksilver, one, is an X-Men, but he's also an Avenger.
Yeah.
So they had like 2 different like continuity errors.
Right.
So this was the reveal. I had avoided this reveal until I watched the episode, and I stopped at that because I had to take a moment to breathe, because I couldn't believe what was happening. I thought I knew the direction like this place was going to go. It was just going to be like an explosion of grief, and then this gets thrown in. I'm like, ah!
Gosh, yeah.
I was floored. I'm like, how the hell did the studio manage to keep this under wraps?
Right, yeah. That he was coming back.
Yeah, because it's just like, this is Quicksilver from another continuity. I didn't know what to expect, because I'm like, is this actually Quicksilver coming back as like Evan Peters? Is like this is an introduction to like the multiverse? Is this some other kind of thing happening?
Yeah.
I kept my mind open to expectations as things went on. And then things just got stranger inside of the world as Vision's trying to unravel like everything that's going on in the world, how Wanda's controlling them. Meanwhile, Wanda's trying to sustain her happy life with her now twins, her husband Vision, and now this anomaly with Pietro seemingly being returned back to life.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the military outside, which is the government runs SWORD, which is similar, which is a similar organization to S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. I got that.
So, And while that's happening, like, and Monica, Darcy, and Wu are trying to convince, like, the higher up, what was it? Haraway was his name? That,
Hardaway?
yeah, something like that. That, neutralizing Wanda is not the way, but he just seems so hell-bent on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And eventually, like, it was revealed that, apparently Wanda had stolen, SWORD had gotten a hold of Vision's remains, and they were to dismantle it to prevent it from being used as a weapon, like his like his body. And apparently, Wanda broke into the facility, stole Vision's remains, and created the anomaly, and supposedly brought Vision back to life.
Yeah, which you kind of like to our knowledge so far, that wasn't really within her realm of power, really. So
she hadn't been able to do anything like that, but at the same time, Wanda's powers in the MCU were very unique because outside of the Masters of the Mystic Arts, like Doctor Strange and everything like that, her magical powers are very, very different. They follow like a very different set of rules.
Yeah.
And we saw, like, the mind-bending stuff that she could be able to pull off. So, for someone who is not versed in, like, the Marvel Universe, like, the comic lore, going into this, you don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And then eventually, as time goes on, and Wanda's, like, losing more and more control of, like, the boundaries, and she's sucking more of the outside world up.
Yeah.
Which is causing chaos. Eventually, like, it's revealed that someone else in the town, basically, is not under Wanda's control. And has been studying her, which turns out to be the nosy neighbor, Agnes.
Of course. Always the nosy neighbor.
Which turns out to be the Marvel character Agatha Harkness. A lesser-known one, but very important because she is actually a mentor to Wanda in the comics.
Oh, yeah.
And she toes
I was really fascinated by her power, actually, that she had. I thought that was really interesting.
Being from the time of the Salem witch trials.
Yeah, that, and also just that she could, like, suck up other people's power, and she was basically like a huge, basically like a sponge almost.
That is a perfect description.
Yes.
Could not have said it any better myself.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool, and then I just,
Are we getting to the episode where it dives into Wanda's past?
Yeah, we should do that.
Oh,
that was awful.
So in Age of Ultron, we only get descriptions through Wanda and Pietro about what happened in their childhood to lead them to join, be part of Hydra to try to eliminate the Avengers. We see firsthand the night the bomb fell on their house, the death of their parents, and what have actually happened for Pietro and Wanda to survive.
Yeah.
It turned out Wanda had already had a power to use magic, but it wasn't a strong power. It was amplified when she was came into contact with the Mind Stone of the Infinity Stones during her experimentation by Strucker in Age of Ultron, which basically unlocked more of her power. And then we get to see some of the first bonding moments between her and Vision. And then we get to see what actually happened when she went to try to pick up Vision's remains.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And she discovers that Vision had originally bought a plot of land in the town of Westview to build a house for them to live together, to leave the Avengers and leave everything behind.
Mm-hmm.
And in her grief, she created the world of WandaVision.
Mm-hmm.
And you slowly start to realize, this is basically a story about grief.
Oh, grief. Yeah. Yeah. I just sort of this is basically, so fiction sort of takes something that we deal with as human beings and sort of magnifies it. So this is kind of like a magnification of, I think dissociating, kind of. Because she didn't even know that she was doing it. The world she created was so complete.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of it's a story about grief. I love that line from her memory where she's talking to Vision about her about losing her brother and everything. And he says, "What is grief but love persevering?" Which you can't really feel any of the good if you don't also feel the bad,
But also at the same time, Wanda in MCU is a character that has probably lost more than most others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She lost her entire family. She lost the love of her life. Twice. She had to watch him die twice. Once by her hands.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was really the knife in the wound.
Mm-hmm.
So, the way I saw it, after watching all this entire series was basically for Wanda, an extreme case of dealing with the 5 stages of grief.
Mm-hmm.
Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good observation, actually.
Yeah, the denial being the sitcom world that she created based off of her love of sitcoms growing up.
Mm-hmm.
The anger at the realization that people are trying to intrude on the happiness that she is so desperate to cling on to.
Yeah.
Bargaining, trying to reason that her brother could possibly be alive even though she saw him die. She wants to believe and hold on to it. The depression coming all forward back when Agatha basically forces her to relive all of the trauma. And then the acceptance being the finale.
Yeah.
Where she's basically said that you are the phenomenon, the entity known as the Scarlet Witch. Which is the first time they bring that name up in the MCU canon. I had to redouble check that. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I know that people have said that that's who she is and what she's called and everything, but yeah, in the MCU they haven't called her that yet.
Because mutants don't exist in the MCU proper that we know of yet, and Wanda's mutant name is Scarlet Witch.
Right. From you mean from the X-Men?
From the X-Men series, as well as just Marvel, the original Marvel canon in general. She's actually one of the most powerful entities in the Marvel universe. Yeah.
Well, yeah, being capable of spontaneous creation. Yeah.
Let me put it this way. There was a point there was an issue in Marvel. I think it was House of M. This was it. Wanda basically made it so that no mutants existed.
Yeah.
She erased nearly the entire population of mutants from existence.
Dude. Okay.
Yeah, she is insanely strong.
Yeah.
And the fear that Agatha has at the end of it, when she is overpowered and defeated by Wanda, it's real because that power is insanely scary.
Yeah.
So it's like Agatha is more trying to do this partially out of a sense of fear. Because if what she says about chaos magic is true, then Wanda is a fearful being.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, given the time we have spent with her, it's hard to view her as that, especially with like how we followed her character throughout all of MCU.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then on the meanwhile, like you get this like battle of conscience between Vision and the White Vision. Vision's body basically got rebuilt and brought under the control of Sword.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was interesting, actually, because you kind of, what was it? It was about the ship of Theseus. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought that was kind of interesting because, like, I wrote a short story once based off of that idea where it's like, if you take a piece off of, like, say, like if you take a piece off of a ship and replace it, then you take another piece off the ship and replace that and everything. And you like swap out all of the pieces. Is it still the same?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. No, it isn't. So
mm-hmm. that is a metaphor that is used in many different circumstances, but is still rings true.
Yeah.
So in that respect, like I do have to say, like this 9-episode ride was fascinating to go on.
Yeah, it was confusing, but I wouldn't say it was really confusing in a bad way. And it might also be just because I know that that there are gaps in my MCU knowledge, but the things that I didn't understand, I was kind of like, oh, that's probably got something to do with something that I don't know. So
well, if you have a couple questions on some of them, I can probably answer some of them right now if you want me to.
What is the significance of the beekeeper?
Basically, it was the guy coming in through the outside, and Wanda. That was just basically Wanda recognizing that's not somebody from here, and it's somebody from outside. So she needed to.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I got that much. I guess. Ooh, yeah. And maybe I just thought that there was more significance to it than just that. But I understood that much. So there wasn't anything more significant about it.
Not really. And actually, we actually do get the reveal that the person that we thought was Pietro, is actually another person from the town that was basically mind controlled, but not through Wanda. It was actually through Agnes.
Yep.
That Agatha that he was controlled and forced to portray Wanda's brother in order to confuse her.
Yep.
And
it was confusing, I will say that. Which
I have to say, I'm like, you know what? That's actually good. It's basically how the Mandarin expectation in Iron Man 3 was, but in a very more meta way.
Yeah.
We were hyping ourselves to expect it because it was revealed through the announcement lineup for Phase 4 that we are going to be getting the mutants in MCU. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
But all of us are just lashing on, is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? But we got ourselves so hyped up and rabid because of this that it did let some of us down that were expecting it.
Yeah.
So some of us felt a little cheated. I was perfectly okay with it. I'm like, you know what? That is brilliant. That is playing on the meta expectation of sitcoms where roles are just randomly recast. AKA Aunt Viv from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah. And didn't they do that in Arrested Development too? There was some character that was replaced or like recast, and no one noticed even.
It's been done. It's been done like that in a lot of shows. It's in a lot of different sitcoms. It's a constant trope. Like Arrested Development, that '70s show did it a couple of once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was a really nice meta on it. And actually, I really do want to listen to the commentary, the after series commentary by the director of the entire series.
Yeah.
He had an interview done about that in order to explain a couple of things that people might have been questioned about.
Yeah.
Which I do have to say this. Matt Shackman, Jack Schaefer, you guys did some amazing work on this. Well done. Très bien. Très bien.
Très bien.
So, I think that's all I can really wrap up. That's mainly all the major plot points on WandaVision. Like, if MCU Phase 4 is going to be more of like these individual stories instead of everybody coming together dealing with like the aftermath of like the Infinity Saga, I'm more than okay with this. I think we've earned ourselves some separate away time.
Yeah.
From like the big blockbusters.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I think so too.
All right. So if you guys want to check out WandaVision, if you haven't done so already, make sure to check out WandaVision. All 9 episodes are currently on Disney Plus at the moment, and definitely go check it out. And I think that'll do it for us.
All right.
That has been the final installment of Marvel March Madness 2021. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the podcast or watching later. For those watching live, we appreciate you guys listening to us ramble. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, that episode was short and sweet, I must say.
Indeed. Well, we had to talk about a lot in Phase 3, and we had an entire recording of 2 episodes, so there was that.
Yep. That's true.
So if you guys like what you heard, make sure to follow us wherever podcasts can be found. We are on Spotify. We're on Spreaker. We are on Apple Podcasts. And if you guys don't have access to any of those streaming services, you can check out all episodes of the General Geekery Podcast on my YouTube channel at Anime Rev Productions. That's youtube.com/Anime Rev Productions. Also, if you guys want to follow us on social media, you can check us out on Instagram at General Geekery and at Gen Geek Podcast on Twitter and Facebook. Also, for those of you that like the podcast, like what you listen from us, and want to throw some love our way, support us a little bit, you guys can pledge and donate to our Patreon at patreon.com/General Geekery. It's at there that you can get early access to most of the episodes before they go live. These episodes will be a little bit of an exception because we are streaming them live on Twitch, so these episodes will be free to listen to on my Twitch whenever.
Yep.
And as well as you can get exclusive access to some behind the scenes stuff, some of Hannah's little drawing I can't even do words anymore. You can get win possibly some of Hannah's artiste works.
Artiste works, yes. We should call it that. We should call it Artiste Works.
Artiste Works, indeed.
Artiste Works.
So yeah, definitely go check out the Patreon, and for any time you guys donate to us, we greatly do appreciate it. And sometimes we'll even give you guys a shout out on the episode as well. Greatly appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Hannah, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me rolling dice with my party every Monday at 7:30 Central on twitch.tv/Loaded Dice Adventures. I play Petra, the Dragonborn Ranger Rogue. It is a yeehawing good time. Fill your hand, you son of a bitch. And you can also find me on Instagram at Pythian Legume.
Awesome.
That's it.
Awesome. And you guys can check me out on twitch.tv/RyuzakiMK7 for those listening later on. I do a majority of different games. A lot of them are... hold on. Sore throat.
Okay.
Dry throat. 1 second.
Okay.
There we go. That's better. And you guys can check me out on twitch.tv/RyuzakiMK7. I do a many variety of games. A lot of them are RPG based, but I always love interacting with my chat room. My chat room loves to bully me, as has been evident by some of the comments during this recording of the podcast.
Yep.
But I always love having people around. It's definitely a fun time. So if you guys love RPGs and just chatting in general, definitely go check that out. That's twitch.tv/RyuzakiMK7. And if you guys want to follow me on social media as well, I am on Twitter and at Instagram at RyuzakiMK7. And also I have my own YouTube channel at Anime Rev Productions. Definitely go check that out as well. That has been it. That has been Marvel March Madness. Thank you guys.
I can't believe it's over.
Oh, well, luckily, Hannah, we have another theme month ahead of us.
Oh, yes, we do.
Ladies and gentlemen, next month is the return of Anime April.
Woo!
We'll be giving some details on that very, very soon. We are very excited to have it back, and we do want you guys to participate in choosing one of our topics of conversation for the month. More on that soon. Keep an eye on our social media for all of that. In the meantime, thank you guys so much for listening. We greatly appreciate it. This has been episode 73 of the General Geekery Podcast, the finale of Marvel March Madness 2021, all about WandaVision. For Hannah Kubiak, I'm Donald Kaczynski, and until next time, guys, until the next Marvel March Madness, we love you 3000, and always remember to keep your geek on.
Always.
Clink, clink.
Clink, clink, clink.
General Geekery, General Geekery, General Geekery, General Geekery. General Geekery is a sitcom. Go. Bye, guys.
What?
Sorry, that was just random on the fly.
Oh, no worries. Oh, man.